Listening Test. This test has 3 parts. In each part, you'll hear a number of different extracts. At the start of each extract, you'll hear this sound. You'll have time to read the questions before you hear each extract, and you'll hear each extract once only. Complete your answers as you listen. At the end of the test, you'll have 2 minutes to check your answers. Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information you hear. Now look at the notes for Extract 1. Extract 1, questions 1 to 12. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Have you been to this medical practice before, Lisa?
I have, yes. Probably about 3 months ago.
Okay, that's good. It means that you're in our system. So, what brings you in today?
I think I may have a bladder infection. I've got a sort of feeling in my lower belly, a sort of cramping. It's like there's a heavy pressure near my bladder. It's hard to describe. I also have some pain around here in my lower back.
Right.
It's kind of like period pain, but I finished my last period about 2 weeks ago, so I don't think it's related to that. That was on the 16th. The main thing is it feels like I have to pee every few minutes. I always seem to have the feeling that I need to go. There's also a bit of a burning sensation when I do go, so that kind of makes me not want to put it off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The pain isn't too severe, but it's enough to make it uncomfortable. The pee seems to be a bit cloudy too, and, well, it's a little embarrassing, but it has quite a strong smell.
What you're describing certainly fits with an infection. It's a common condition, and it's treatable with antibiotics. What's your understanding of what may have caused it?
I was reading online about it, actually, and I know you can get it through lots of ways. But I'm not in a relationship right now, so I know it's not from anything sexual. I don't get to go to the toilet very often at work, and I read how holding it in can actually bring on an infection.
It's possible, yes. May I ask, what kind of work you do?
I work in a factory. The work's easy, nothing strenuous, and my co-workers are great. And our boss actually lets us go to the toilet whenever we want to. The problem's more that I have to put on a protective suit as soon as I get in and keep it on all day. It's kind of inconvenient when you need to go to the toilet. Mm-hmm. It means unsuiting, then going, then resuiting. It's a lot of effort, so you tend not to bother.
Right.
Actually, we've got a routine. We hardly drink anything before lunch and then nothing at all at lunch. If you don't drink, you don't have to go to the toilet. It's simple, and it works for us. I always have a beer after work, in the evening, so I keep my fluid intake up generally.
Well, dehydration and also holding it in for long stretches can certainly be a factor. How many times would you normally urinate throughout the day?
Usually, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3, sometimes not at all. After work, it's usually once, so I'd say 3 times altogether. But since the symptoms started, I'm having to go at least 10 times a day, and sometimes more. And it's just such a small amount, but I still have what I can only call a strong urge to go. It's annoying to have to go through all the undressing and dressing, just for that, and so often.
Are you taking any medication at the moment?
Not really any medication for health reasons, but, I'm on the contraceptive pill. I've never had any problems with it, though, and I've been on that for about, it must be 2.5 years now. I also take Panadol if it gets too painful. Do you think it's possible to get the antibiotics for this today, Doctor? It's really driving me crazy.
All right, the first thing we need to do is take your urine sample. This will give us a good indication of what we're dealing with. You'll need to get a midstream sample to be accurate.
Extract 2, questions 13 to 24. For questions 13 to 24, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
So, Sandra, you've been referred to me by your GP for a possible colonoscopy, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So, can you tell me what made you see your GP? Had you had some type of tummy upset?
Actually, I was feeling really tired and run down at the time and just wanted a checkup. He suspected a possible virus and recommended I have a fasting blood test, which I did. And when he was explaining the results a few days later and taking a more detailed history, that's when he said I should come and see you.
So, did the test results show something out of the ordinary?
Well, just that my iron levels were on the low side. But he said that was to be expected given my condition at the time. But then he asked me about my family history. You see, my father died at 57 from bowel cancer and his father at 52, but we don't really know what of because he refused to see a doctor. The family suspect it was also bowel cancer, though, because of the symptoms he had just before he died. Then on my mother's side of the family, my grandfather is alive but has end-stage pancreatic cancer.
Okay, and how old are you now, Sandra?
I've just turned 50. My GP said not to bother with the self-test kit, but I'm a bit concerned about having a colonoscopy, if I'm honest. For one thing, there's the hospital part. Ever since I was a kid, I've been really scared of hospitals. Then, of course, there's the needles. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have a fear of those. It's more the sight of them rather than the feeling. But the biggest thing that frightens the life out of me is the possibility of having a terminal illness.
Well, in terms of the colonoscopy, I can assure you that we give you a very strong sedative to make sure you're completely unaware of the entire procedure. Have you ever experienced any symptoms?
No, I haven't. My GP asked me the same and he suggested some, but I've never had any of them. I had lost quite a bit of weight, but I'd also been on a diet at the time when I saw him. I do have some occasional tenderness in my belly and sometimes I find myself short of breath, kind of puffing. But again, because I've been sick, perhaps it's just from that.
Has it affected your life in any way? I mean, have you noticed a drastic change in your work or hobbies?
Well, I've been a chef for 20 years plus. I work in a fairly hectic environment, so I don't really have time to stop and think about it. The restaurant's always full on. I used to play tennis at the weekend and, yeah, it's definitely held me back from going. Generally, I stay at home. I read a lot more these days. If I have enough energy, I try to go jogging, but I never go very far. Nothing like before. I mean, I used to get to 12 kilometres. I try to stay fit and healthy, though. I'm a big believer in prevention rather than cure. I take a daily multivitamin just to get the full range, and to be honest, that's out of laziness more than anything. It's so easy taking just the one tablet. But I also have vitamin C powder, the kind you need to stir into a glass of water. I'd never take those chewable tablets that you can buy because they're practically useless. Also, each morning I have a teaspoon of fish oil after breakfast.
Well, they're all fine to take. In fact, I'd encourage you to continue all of what you just mentioned.
That is the end of Part A.